So which is it, 4-inch barrel or 6-inch barrel? Let's find out.
Apocalypse.
So I have a couple of boxes here from NORMA Ammunition that both of these are defensive rounds, the MHP, the monolithic hollow point. And the original box that I got, or the first box when I made my first order, was these smaller boxes here. And the second box is a bigger box, which I made later on, a few months later, of the same ammunition that they both were on sale for. So I just decided to start stocking up a little bit of these. But I started to look at the boxes and wondering why the bullets or the cartridges look a little bit different. And then I started seeing all of these details. So if we look at the smaller box, the original box that I got, on the box it says that it was tested out of a 4-inch barrel. Now the details here are they're both 108 grain bullets, and they're both going 1,312 feet per second with 413 foot-pounds of energy. So again, the smaller box, the original one that I got from the first order, says it was tested out of a 4-inch barrel. I'll show you guys there on the screen. And at the bottom of the box on the side, it says assembled in the US with US and foreign components. So it'll be interesting to see how this bullet compares to the new bullet, or I don't know if I want to say new bullet, the new box. So it'll be interesting to see how this box compares to the newer box or the larger, bigger box, which I prefer the smaller ones anyways. They store better that way. But the larger box has the same data on there with 108 grains, the foot-pounds, and also the velocity. However, on this box somewhere, it also says what it was tested out of, which is a 6-inch barrel. And then down at the bottom on the side, it says it's made in Hungary. Now, both of these part numbers show exactly the same, 299740020. So let's take a look at the cartridges side by side. From the smaller box, the one that says it's tested out of a 4-inch barrel and made in the United States, has a brass casing, and the projectile looks the same as the one out of the larger box made in Hungary. However, that casing is a darker color, looks like a dark plated colored casing there, and I'm not really sure what it is. And I tried to find out a little bit more information of this casing on NORMA's website, but it doesn't really say anything. And the previous smaller box with this brass casing isn't even listed on their website anymore. But anyway, I guess this new ammunition is still on their website with the same product number and everything. I'll show you a screenshot of that as well. But it's interesting that it also even has the bullet coefficient or the ballistics coefficient of the G1 value 0.168. So that's kind of neat if you guys want to do some kind of ballistics testing with this, with trajectories and things like that. Maybe out of a 9mm PCC, for example. But in today's video, let's go ahead and check out the velocities and see what the true velocities are out of a 6-hour P365 3.1-inch barrel, a Steyr M9A2 pistol, which is also 9mm, of course, and that's out of a 4-inch barrel. And then we'll test it out of a 16-inch barrel. I'm really interested to see how fast these are going to be flying through. So we'll be using a 16-inch 9mm PCC made by New Frontier Armory, basically. And we'll be able to test out some recoil analysis with the Steyr 4.0 barrel. All right, guys, so let's first talk about the NORMA from the first shipment that I received, which was the USA version, which is also in the brass casing, but yes, assembled in the United States. So here I've got the 3 comparisons of the firearms that I used, the 6-hour P365, the Steyr M9A2 MF pistol, and the PCC from New Frontier Armory in the 16-inch barrel. So obviously on the left here, we've got lower velocity and more on the right because you got that extra barrel length going to the right, right? So the average velocity from the 6-hour P365 was 1,060 feet per second, and the max that I got was 1,069, and the energy average there was 269 foot-pounds, but advertised it's 413 pounds, so it's way below that. And same for the velocity, I was 300 feet per second slower with the 6-hour P365. But if we add an extra inch to the barrel using the Steyr pistol here, now I've got 1,151 feet per second, and the maximum was 1,173, so we're getting closer to the advertised velocity. And the average energy was 318 foot-pounds, and yes, I did use 10 rounds to do this because I was shooting chronograph and using the Mantis at the same time. I just took advantage of having that rail for that and able to get values for all of my shots there. So here we got a little bit of a maybe more fine-tuned average, but it doesn't really change the results here. On the right here, now we've got the 16-inch barrel, and now we're cooking 1,383 feet per second, and the maximum I got was 1,390 feet per second, and the advertised, again, 1,312, so we were finally meeting or exceeding those advertised velocities here. So did they test this ammunition out of a 16-inch barrel? I'm not too sure, but definitely they weren't testing it out of a 4-inch barrel or something common that typical handguns are at. I would say even if you had a 5-inch barrel, you'd probably get about 1,200 feet per second. Then if we're just basing it on and adding an extra inch on there, like we did in comparison to the P365. But yeah, in general, the average velocity out of a 16-inch barrel here was 458 foot-pounds, which was exceeding the advertised energy. So that's good. So at least we have an idea of what we're going to get out of the MHP brass here made in the United States. Now, maybe all of the new shipments are coming from Hungary, and that's why I was only able to get this kind of ammunition, even though I was making the same order from the same manufacturer from PSA and the same listing and everything. But now you can see same comparisons, but in general, all of the values were dropping here on the average velocities for the Steyr and the SIG Sauer P365. We did get a little bit even more out of a 16-inch barrel. You'll see a better comparison on the next slide here. But yeah, the SIG was getting maximum 1018, but lower velocity around the 1,000 feet per second. And of course, the energy is there for you guys to look at. And same for the Steyr here, 1,114 foot per second on the average. Maximum I got was 1,127. And the average energy is going up about 50 foot-pounds there with an extra 1-inch barrel there. And let's look at the 16-inch barrel here. Now we're going 1,394 feet per second, which is more than the US brass. So I don't know if this is really super consistent or not, but this is going a little bit faster out of a 16-inch barrel. And now we're getting 466 foot-pounds as well, which is exceeding the advertised, and that's more than what we were getting out of the US made. So I don't know if they're just using different powders or what here, or different loads, but I'm sure all you reloaders there can chime in on that information. So again, this is the NORMA, the second shipment that I got from the Hungarian assembled ammunition, and this had that darker casing on it. So now I thought I'd put a good visual picture here with some graphs of the comparison between the two. So on the left, we've got the US manufactured ammo, and on the right, we've got the Hungarian. A little bit improvement, I guess, on the brass, the lubricity and stuff like that, but you're going to get a lot less velocity, less energy, except unless you're using a 16-inch barrel, values kind of stay the same with each other there. On the left on the graph there, that's just the velocity comparisons, and on the right, the chart there shows the energy comparison. So the Hungarian in general is a little bit less, and again, unless you're using that 16-inch barrel. So let's go ahead and take a look at the recoil analysis. Now, the recoil analysis I could only do with the Steyr M9A2MF pistol because it has the Picatinny rail in the front, and I was able to secure the Mantis device there to the rail. But in general, you can see that the US ammo has a little bit more recoil than the Hungarian. And I guess that makes sense because the US made ammunition has higher velocity, so it's cooking a little bit better, or cooking faster than the Hungarian kind. But if you're looking for a little bit softer shooting ammo, go ahead and get this kind of ammunition from the Hungarian. If you're at a store, you read the box. If you're ordering online, I don't know if the description is going to give you much information, but whatever you get online, at least you can refer to this data here so you know what kind of results to expect out of it. So since I had a lot of this ammunition left over, I thought I'd go ahead and also do the accuracy test out of the SIG Sauer P365, because the P365 is just one of the most popular carry handguns out there, and that's probably when you might even be using this ammunition. And I am going to be using this rest just to kind of take away the human factor and try and get the best accuracy that I can without any of the muzzle movement. So with the accuracy here on the left, you can see is the Hungarian version of the ammunition, and on the right, the United States or the US version. Now these are 3-inch green sticker circles that I put on the target, which kind of gives me a good reference about what kind of grouping to expect. Now over there on the left there with the Hungarian ammunition, there's a couple of flyers up there at the top, but once I kind of settled it down or dialed in the gun a little bit better, or maybe it was just the ammunition consistency, I started to get a really good grouping. And on the right there, you can see that's the US. It's all in the green circle, so that's good, all in a 3-inch circle, but the groups weren't as tight. In general though, I guess both of these ammunitions are pretty accurate, or pretty in general going to give you some good accuracy. You're just probably going to be hitting more accurate with the Hungarian ammunition. Maybe that's just because also maybe with a lesser powder charge or something like that. I'm not too sure, but here you can expect maybe similar accuracies, or at least you're going to be hitting your shots in at least a 3-inch circle. So what do you guys think NORMA's doing here? Why do we have two different boxes that say the same kind of specs on there, but getting way different results on velocity and recoil? And so now I'm not even sure what to expect anymore. There's another box that I bought. It's a white box now, a box of 50 that is MHP. It's lighter grain and all that, but I got to do a review on that as well and try and see what the velocity differences and recoil differences and maybe accuracy differences there are too as well. In any case, I don't know if you can trust NORMA with what they're branding or what they're selling, but at least you guys can always reference this video to kind of give you guys an idea of what kind of results to expect. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry it was a little bit more talking and less shooting, but my audio wasn't working out at the range today, so it kind of made a more simpler video, and I hope you guys don't mind that. So if you guys have any questions or comments, just leave them down in the comment section, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as possible. We'll see you guys in the next video.
Apocalypse.